For the last couple of months, I've been trying something new in my photography, and honestly, it has improved my photos more than I expected. I also used this approach in my trip to Spain a couple of months ago. In fact, I used this approach last weekend when I did street photography in Delhi. And when I look back at those photos now, the composition looks stronger. The storytelling looks cleaner. Overall, the photos don't feel random anymore. There's context and there is intention. And the funny part is that it's so simple that almost feel stupid for not trying it earlier. So, what did I change? Actually, I changed a lot. Earlier, I was always searching. I was always looking for something interesting. Maybe I was chasing subjects. I was always on the lookout for an interesting person or an interesting moment or situation or maybe location itself. But I was always searching for something interesting. Right now, I know that the essence of a good photo is storytelling, but I was expecting life to create that storytelling for me. While shooting, I was walking more in search of interesting subjects or moments, and then I was kind of relying on fate or destiny itself to create some nice storytelling around them, right? I was treating the whole storytelling and photography in general as a lottery. I was expecting things to happen for me instead of making them happen. Sure, I did take some really good shots over the past years that I'm really proud of. But overall, when I look back at my photos earlier, I felt that they were incomplete. There was always something missing in those photos. I was not very happy with those photos, to be honest. Now, 1 week before going to Spain, I was kind of disillusioned. I was in a creative rut. I did not know what to do about my photos. When I look at the legends and the photos they took, I was always feeling a bit insufficient. I never felt that I was doing the best. But 1 week before going to Spain, things changed for me. I went to a meetup for creators and photographers, and therein I met one of the most famous photographers in Berlin. I'm a big fan of his work. On Instagram, I actually complimented him on his work and asked him for some advice. And he told me to work the scene more and focus more on composing than choosing a subject. After talking to him, I practiced and I realized that chasing a subject to get a good storytelling and photo is like trying to get rich by winning lotteries. It just doesn't make any sense. Sure, this approach might give me some really good photos, but surely it will never improve my photography. I would never improve my perspective. I realized that in order to truly improve my photography, I need to do the opposite. I need to think about composition instead of subjects. And this is what I changed. Now I try to create an interesting scene instead of looking for one. Instead of spending time walking constantly and looking for interesting subjects, I now choose interesting locations and then spend some time there trying to see how I can use the elements in that location to create different compositions, right? I try to create scenes in those locations. Instead of chasing the right moment, I have now started chasing the right colors, light and harmony between elements in a frame. Something else also happened that I really didn't expect to happen. I've started noticing how much of the street is just noise, pure noise, small moments that feel interesting for a second but don't actually add anything to a frame overall. Gradually, as I started to do this more in my trip to Spain, I learned to filter that noise out. I've started paying more attention to the surroundings and looking at them in terms of composition rules. This became an obsession. In this photo, I spent around 30 minutes at this same location trying to figure out how I can use the elements in this scene to create the perfect composition and storytelling. Now, earlier I would never shoot at a location like this. I would just pass by. But things were different this time. My perspective had started to change at this point. I loved the colors of the sign and roadworks. The light itself was beautiful, and all the elements in the scene were coming together to create a nice storytelling. Now all I had to wait was a perfect subject to complete this jigsaw puzzle, to complete this story. Maybe some people passing by or people who work in the background in the society. And then this happened. 45 minutes after I found this location, I got this shot. This photo has multiple compositions. It has foreground, background, it has layering, but above all, most importantly, it has storytelling. Now this shot was taken in Palma, Mallorca. And Palma, Mallorca is one of the most beautiful places in the world and it's visited by millions of tourists all the year round. But if you stay there as a local, it's a whole different story. This photo shows you a different side of Palma. A side that is not very touristy, it's not very glamorous, and it's actually very regular with regular people having regular problems with regular life. Now, after I took this shot, I started doing this more. I started choosing different locations. I would wait at those locations and try to bring all the elements at the location together to create nice compositions and nice storytelling. And then I would wait for a nice subject to complement that composition, right? Now, as I started doing this more, I found myself walking less and paying more attention to simple and mundane things. I found that you don't even have to walk so much if you pay more attention to simple things, to little things in life that we ignore. Sometimes the simple and everyday things that we ignore can set the stage for the best scene ever. I came across this, and the elements here immediately spoke to me. At first glance, this is just a wall with some art on it. You have some writing or graffiti, and you have a picture of an old man, right? But when you start putting the old man and the writing together in one frame, you start to build a meaningful scene. But at this point, this scene is meaningful but not special, right? There's still something missing. But what will make this scene truly special is when you put a subject on the right hand side of this frame, something that complements the writing on the wall really well. So I waited and waited for someone like that to enter the frame, and this was hard because this was a really deep back alley, right? It was one of those streets where nobody goes because it's dark and damp, and it looks a bit scary also. It took me almost an hour before the perfect subject entered the frame. Now this scene is complete. It has context, it has intention, and above all, it has storytelling. Building a scene and prioritizing composition over subject has truly changed the way I shoot. It not only it has changed the way I do photography, but it also has changed my perspective in real life. Now whenever I walk or take a step, I try to notice or look for mundane or simple everyday things, right? And I try to find different compositions in those things. My photos don't feel random anymore. They don't feel incomplete. They don't feel empty. They seem to have a purpose. So this is how I was able to improve my photography with one small change. I did not use any tools. Certainly I did not use any AI. I also did not change my editing style. I just changed the way I shoot and look at things. I changed my perspective. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful and meaningful. And if you have some tips on improving photography that has worked for you, please share in the comments below. I would love to hear about it and practice also. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that the algorithm knows your preferences. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for giving me your time. I truly appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.